Namaste and welcome, beloveds. Thank you for bringing your devotion to Jesus here. I'm realizing, see, if we all stand shoulder to shoulder, we're always standing up. It keeps us from tilting sideways and diverting from celebrating light. You start to see that this happiness, this joy, this infinite joy is not known in a personal identity because there's a desire not to know it. And so I thank Jesus for coming and bringing this constellation, this holy constellation. How can this be? Where we have beings from around the world that are Jesus magnets. So we have to be together. We have to be together in truth because we can't no longer pretend that we're apart. And even this auspicious, I think Mooji would use auspicious. What a great word. Auspicious investment in ourselves. The celebration of worthiness for everything that the Father has given. What a blessing. What a blessing to be together. And where we found before, we just wanted to really give our brother the boot. Well, first we pretend we don't want to give our brother the boot. That's the first thing. Or whenever we watch on TV, like bodies being killed, or the distraction is to see that the mission is to save bodies. That's the distraction. To see that there are no bodies. And then as you go deeper, especially that's why communities can be helpful, because you have to look at your stuff. And I know some people in corporate America get all upset. They'd say, I'm not here to look at my belly button. The thing about it is that we're lost in our belly button. We fell into our belly button. Unless we look to our belly button to find out that we're lost in our belly button. And boy, you go into corporate America, because it's a symbol of my own mind, right? At the time, it was like, oh, don't give me any of that touchy feely stuff, That's like saying, Jesus, don't get close, because if you hug me, I'm going to definitely disintegrate or something. No, we need to spend time. You can ask him, Jesus, do I need to spend time being hugged by you? He said, and singing a few happy songs with me would be good too. Would be good too. Anything to get a conversation going. He's open, So now we come on the eve of the resurrection. Let's make the eve short. Let's start early. Jesus, can we start early on the resurrection? It's like, Jesus, see that the resurrection has no time in there. Let's try to find a time inside the resurrection, see if it can be done while the dogs in the next room kill each other. You never know. I mean, I just continually never know what he's gonna see that's most helpful. But you trust, you just know you're in that tractor beam. Let's just check in with the tractor beam and know he has us. Because we're so busy swearing that we're so far from God and we'll be the last one to resurrect. I'm the last one to resurrect Jesus, anyone with me. That's the ego saying, I desire an experience of feeling like I'm going to be the last one, the last one in the, and I just remember feeling like that so much because then I didn't realize that was a desire to have an experience. As I've said, and the spiritual teachers would talk about that. And I'd go, what? You'd kind of be like Scooby-Doo going, oh, oh, what are you talking about? Because, oh, but you kind of like, there'd be like this little hope under there. You hope that that's right, because boy, whatever's happened in this world, it doesn't work. It's not working. You like want to believe it's true. But then it's like, it seems like it's a fantasy that you could be perfectly happy all the time. And in the whole play of Face of Innocence of being like, I'm not doing it. I'm not choosing this. In the happiness, we're talking about happiness to see you're wrong. What a great topic Lori brought up, like really looking Jesus. What does it mean? See, we forgot. We're so in the play, like consciousness is so wound in, to even have Jesus show us, what does it even mean to be happily wrong? See, we're so used to being unhappy by trying to be right about everything. He can't squeak any light under the door for us. He can't. We just so much. No, I'm not. The little fish is swimming in that water. It's got its little eyes covered. I just don't understand. Where is the water? I'm the last one to be swimming in water. That's how impossible it is. But and the teachers would say that, spiritual teachers say, you're swimming in an ocean of love. And well, I'm not feeling it. Without seeing that, you got to see that you don't want to see it. Tony Robbins' programs, he's always talk about sclerotomas. Sclerotoma. There's a word. Okay, let's see if Jesus gives the translation word in Spanish. I don't even know what else to call it. So I'll just start describing it. It's like how consciousness plays to block out the obvious. That's the whole play. So we come up with that's a good Spanish word to know too. Let's learn that one when she finds out what that is. So it's the play in consciousness where it blocks things out. And we've all seen it, because he'd give the story, where you'd go to look for the salt and you'd open up those cabinet doors, you search the entire cabinets, you leave for 15 minutes, you come back and there's the salt. They went into the fifth dimension or something, whatever it is, your phone, your earbuds, and then, or someone will walk in, which is particularly irritating to a sense of personal identity. They'd go, well, it's right here. And then they hold it up, it's like, you get that little twitch over that. That's a good forgiveness opportunity. Because we make the scenario, right, that we can't find something and then we're going to be aggravated. So if we get past that, we get past forgiveness, then we can actually look to see that this is how consciousness is continuing playing, not to recognize what it is all the time, 24/7.
What was that word again?
Sclerotoma. I hope it's right. It's been so long since I used it. Trust Jesus. He says it's right. But it's just a way of that consciousness plays to curtain. Put the veil down. Here's the veil. And it's putting the veil. Desires are the veil. See all this, but Muji, it seems like, or Ajasanti. It seems like there's a veil. And then you hear them, what lifts the veil? Seeing the desire for a veil not to see that you're swimming in light. Ta-da, then it becomes so light, not seeing light, forgive. Light, twitch, forgive. It's become so simple. See the light in the light circles. Oh, infinito, infinite. Infinita, I guess would be right. Look over at Lena so she gets look at Dyra, see if she's smiling. I got that infinita. La infinita? Well, she'll tell, at least she can say it right in Spanish. But really looking to the infinite, because it's so, because there was so much in it that, like, if I do something, I can get something. And he has to even tell us he's going to have us do something because we're so used to doing. He can't really actually tell us what he's actually having us doing, which is nothing, to see that we're everything. It's true. Really, you start seeing you're not doing anything. There's nothing to do. He says, look at the light. Now, is the light doing something? Let's just check in with the light. The light doesn't have a doer in there. So the assignments, which he says, you can do anything I ask because you are everything, just to show that we're not doing anything. There's nothing to do in there. But we relish that little doer. So here I was just talking about reincarnation. And don't you know, we're in the manual for teachers, is reincarnation so? This is going to be a fun topic. This is a really good topic because, it's really, at first and foremost, see no error. It is not to go out and ring a bell and tell everybody out there there's reincarnation or not. It's not about that. It's simple. Infinite, we accept the atonement for ourselves, meaning we see no error in the play in consciousness. We just notice what's most helpful. Jesus, is it most helpful for me to believe that reincarnation is true? And here's the answer. For me, no. Now, as I said before, I mentioned other circles. There was a time when he was working with me with what appeared to be reincarnation, because he uses everything. And chances are he's going to say that here. Oh, here it is. In the ultimate sense, reincarnation is impossible. Ultimate sense. So let's see ultimately in the light of divine being and honesty of God, in the light, is reincarnation possible? And then hear the answer. Because the light is the only place where we get any answers that are point up. Is reincarnation true? Can it happen? It's consciousness. It's a play in the dream. Dream play. It's a desired experience. As I said, the character in a male body pretending to be a train robber that liked to rob train, it's just another dream in consciousness. And it's all happening simultaneously. How about that? Now that's a rip. What do you mean? I don't even get sequential lives? Simultaneous. I asked the light, is it simultaneous? All these dreams, because nothing's actually happening. So it's just a play, and then consciousness gets a grip on it to make it real. And these things felt real. It felt really real, some of these dreams. Just like here, it was as real as here. That supposedly in the play of consciousness, it felt really real that I had been married and I had a husband in World War II, and that bastard got killed right in front of me. Died, but it was so real. Just as though it was happening here, and there was like a big fat grievance to be forgiven. So the spirit's going to use that. It'll use that to clear that grievance. but it's just another means used by consciousness to say love's not here. To deny love right now, that infinite love is here, that the ocean of love is here. So let's just hear what else he said. Okay, Jesus, I'm going naked slate. Oh, the love on a naked slate, like so much love. We're going to just be light, period. All else is false. And then we're going to look at this. Okay. Yes. Let's see this in the light of truth right now. Like infinito light, and start there. Does the light know a future? It's a light. We can hunt around in the infinite light of being and see if we can find a future in there. And then a past. See, the more you look at the light and you ask those questions, the happier you get. Except the ego's not happy about it because it wants to obscure that answer that there's no past or future in light. That's the absolute reality. That's okay. And the idea of birth into a body has no meaning either once or many times. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. In the light of divine being, because you know why it's worth looking? Because you just get so happy. This is happy wrong right here. You know, we were talking about happy wrong. Happy wrong is seeing that there's no birth in a body. Now the body, the ego, what do you mean I wasn't born? Your happiness relies on this. I'm asking you, yes. Seeing this. So let's just look. Let's face it. If we blow up, that's fine. Let's just see if we just kind of disintegrate, just noticing in the light. See, the light's calm. The light's like, no body, no problem. It's the ego doesn't want to see that there's no body here. Okay. And the idea of a birth into a body has no meaning either once or many times. Well, that's going to really screw up the reincarnation scenarios, and isn't it? But again, does your spirit use it? Like I said freely last night that I had a belief in a play of consciousness, and the play of consciousness was playing on the Sanhedrin. Last night was a good time to talk about that because it was a crucifixion. I could feel it. It's like, Jesus, I was on the Sanhedrin, man. I wanted to kill your body. I just wanted to kill that body. I just want to kill that body dead. Well, that is the whole play in consciousness, to kill something, to have a play of killing the light. Now that's a good one to have a talk with Jesus about, you know. Well, what about Gary got to be St. Thomas? So, there's no comparison, you know. It's just characters. We have to see that it's just different characters. That's what the ego does, you know. It complains, well, look over there. They get someone else is getting more always. You know, they get to play movie star in the dream. They get to play Marilyn Monroe, and then they get to reincarnate, and then Marilyn Monroe comes back. We don't make it wrong. There's nothing, because it's like everything else in consciousness, it's a play. It's just that we want to know what the truth is here, like have it land. All right, Jesus, give it to me. If reincarnation does not exist, let me just live in that zone for a while and see how that works. We're reincarnating all day long. That's what he's trying to tell us. We're reincarnating the body identity through beliefs all day long. It blooms up, and then we live inside the dream of something happening to me. So that's happening all day long. So we don't have to actually have played the role of a train robber or a whatever. I think I said it seemed like I was over Pompeii and I lived where the windmills are. You know, we can get lost in that stuff. I'm going to go back and do a past life regression. No, it's faster just to go, okay, does reincarnation exist? and check in on the light, and then you can get the answer. I mean, it can be used by spirit. You know, did Jesus reincarnate? Just ask them now. Did you reincarnate? Hear the answer. How could that be his teaching? He's saying, because what it can do in the play of consciousness, that was certainly playing like that. I think I told that story where this idea arose, well, I don't work, I don't have to do anything in this life. It'll be the problem of whoever I reincarnate into. It's a way of delay. Do you see? That's a trick in consciousness to go, oh, well, next time around. And so the consciousness can maintain that dream. And let's just go another, let's take the Ferris wheel one more time over. I don't know about you. Well, I know about the guys here for sure. And many of you, we've been around this already a couple of times. We're just going, no. So tell us the truth, Jesus. Does reincarnation exist in the light of truth? No. Has no meaning either once or many times. Reincarnation cannot then be true in any real sense. So Jesus is not going to be teaching. I'm going to ask him directly, Jesus, are you teaching reincarnation? Just, you can listen because we can all hear him. I just go to the man. Jesus, is it reincarnation? Is it helpful to focus on that? For me, I'm just saying for me as a possibility. And then here's answer. Then we can be clear. Our only question should be, is the concept helpful? Amen. That's what he's saying. And that depends, of course, on what it's used for. If it is used to strengthen the recognition of eternal nature of life, it is helpful indeed. And at first, it can be helpful. Do you see, if you realize, wait a minute, there's something going on. You got these little scenarios where these little kids come back and they found the guy knew who killed him. And he was a kid, he was 7-year-old, and he showed him where the body was buried or whatever. It stops the consciousness. It's like a little clue in consciousness. Well, maybe I don't know everything. So that's always good. We think we don't know. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe there is something that continues on. It's like a little pointer going, maybe something continues on. What we don't want to continue on, which will continue on, is the play of consciousness after the body seems to go like that. And fall asleep in another dream of suffering and despair. Is any other question about it really useful in lighting up the way? He's so to the point. Is any other question about it really useful in lighting up the way? Like many other beliefs, it can be bitterly misused. Oh, bitterly. Because then not only do you have to forgive this lifetime, now you got a whole heap of those other things to look back on. I was not only sinful this time around, I killed a few people last time. And if you really start digging into those dreams, sequential dream, it's like any dream. You're going to see one time the way it can be helpful is Jesus was showing me. One time you were victimizer. But you don't have to look at your past lives to see that. We can just look at the life now and go, boy, one time I'm a victim, one time a victor. I just see the swings. But if it's helpful, Jesus will show it to you like he did. I'm asking him now, did you bring that Sanhedrin thing to my attention? Yes, he did. So if it can be used for the purpose of forgiveness, but you don't have to go digging, you can just ask Jesus. Have a talk with him about, is there anything in there I need to see? And don't be surprised if he says no. He'll have plenty of other things for us to look at. Like many other beliefs, it can be bitterly misused. And Anything that delays the recognition that light is here now is bitter misuse. Boy, he's really direct on that. Anything that delays the recognition that the Son of God is whole, holy, and complete is bitterly misused. It's a bitter misuse of time. At least such misuse offers preoccupation and perhaps pride in the past. It can be very prideful. Pompeii, Tantana, or whatever, I was, or, I had this life, or I was Marilyn Monroe. So we have to see if we have any beliefs about reincarnation or memories of, the ego will hold those like cherished perception, cherished movies of death. All movies are the same. They're a way to have a veil over infinite light. Oh my gosh, here we go. At worst, it induces inertia in the present because it's dreaming. It's denial of light, which is always inertia. I'm just asking Jesus, it's blankness. It's just blankness. It's another form of fantasy. It's another fantasy going out. Okay. In between, many kinds of folly are possible. Reincarnation would not, under any circumstances, be the problem to be dealt with now. If it were responsible for some of the difficulties the individual faces now, his task would still be only to escape from them now. It's all here now. See, reincarnation is an idea of a past grievance or past offense against God that has to be reconciled. The belief is it has to be reconciled, or that there's guilt from it. Or it holds, like in the case, like in the play of consciousness here, it was like being left, the abandonment. That was the way the abandonment scenario played, being abandoned. The desire for an experience to feel abandoned, and then it plays out supposedly by a spouse getting killed. Or death in a body. But still, even then, in that moment, it's a denial of the light that's here. The only thing to do is to forgive, to see the grievance with Jesus and be released. And I'm just asking him now, so Jesus, if those things come up, you will show us what to look at. So the ego goes, and we can see it in the light circles. Here's the thing. And then I had this story about, it's a storyline, but we don't always see it. Jesus understands it. But we go below the story. It's okay. It's another story scenario, right? I not only created havoc in this life, but I got about 10 extra ones to, I got to look at. He's just saying, ask me, I'll bring you down to what the real grievance is. So we don't get hung up in any story, regardless if it's reincarnation, seemingly a different body form, or whether we're always in a different body form. We're not in the same body form that we were in the play of consciousness, because we were this big, we were a baby, and then we're never the same. Even in the play of consciousness, they say your body, every 7 years, all new cells, everything's new. So we're not even the quote unquote, even if we want to be in consciousness, we're not even the same body that we were 7 years ago. It's all an idea anyway, but still. If it were responsible for some of the difficulties the individual faces now, his task would still be to only escape from them now, forgive it now. If he is laying the groundwork for a future life, he can still work out his salvation only now. Now. See, the light's here now. He's really telling us, don't get wound up into any past life stories. And if you do, catch yourself, because sometimes it can take a light training for a while to see this. What we know, join. And then let him take us down and show us what the real gig is down there. I mean, because it feels really real. Like there was so much of this grief seemingly in that historical event of this loss, but it's only symbolic of the desire to experience grief, to lose God and feel that loss. Talking to Jesus about it, it was like, that's just another way consciousness plays to relish experience. If he is laying the groundwork for a future life, he can still work out his salvation only now. To some, there may be comfort in the concept, and if it heartens them, its value is self-evident. He said, take heart if it makes you feel, especially when there's a belief in death. But we don't see that the death is dying to light in every moment, to kill the light in every moment. But if the mind doesn't see that yet, it can be comforting. So Jesus is for comfort. But eventually we have to turn in like the squeak comfort for infinite comfort, like infinite light. It is certain, however, that the way to salvation can be found by those who believe in reincarnation, and boy, so he doesn't have, it's equal. God is an equal opportunity employer. There's no restriction. We just have to cease to deny. Light's here. Because the ego would get in a fight. You see, this whole thing about just stay out of that traffic. The whole thing, okay, we think we found a reincarnated Helen. Or however that plays. Then some people go, well, reincarnations, but we don't need to play in the argument. We just go, Jesus, what's true for me? What's most helpful for me? Let him answer it and then move on, Is it helpful, Jesus? I'll ask him right now for me to think about that at all? No. See, and we stop giving focus to any distractions at all. We just stay focused on Jesus. If that doesn't need a thought, if it's not helpful, then it just gets dropped. The idea cannot therefore be regarded as essential to the curriculum. There's always some risk in seeing the present in terms of the past. There's always some good in any thought which strengthens the idea that life and the body are not the same, meaning eternal life. Because of such strong conceptual belief. So he's showing where reincarnation is purposeful in opening the mind outside the idea that body dives, that's it, you're done, rest in peace. It's a pointer beyond the body. For our purposes, it would not be helpful to take any definite stand on reincarnation. Okay, Jesus. The light doesn't need to. Only for our purposes to see that when we really look, it's not possible, but it's not to get an argument with someone over, because as soon as we're in the argument, we're in the play of consciousness. You just know it for you, us. Like, does infinite light know reincarnation? No. So for me, it's just not helpful to focus on that right now. Whether it's, A teacher of God should be as helpful to those who believe in it as those who do not. And the best way to do that, again, is always following Jesus. Jesus, what do I say in every circumstance? Run into somebody who believes in reincarnation. We run into someone who doesn't believe in. It's not our function to change someone's belief. See, as soon as there is a belief of that, then there's otherness. We're trying to change someone out there. So everything is for our own purposes. There's no one out there to change. There's just light following light. So I see he's pointing to see no error here. But at the same time, I'm asking him, Jesus, is it helpful for us to look now to see that reincarnation does not exist? And I get a yes. For us. He said it's helpful for seeing that peace is always yours. If a definite stand were required him, it would merely limit his usefulness as well as his own decision making. See, we let Jesus decide. Because like in it was helpful for me to see through some of those thoughts through reincarnation scenarios. But I can't say I really believed in reincarnation. Actually, even having those, if I look at it. But it was just a helpful way to forgive part of the dream, actually. So we can't judge it as a teacher of God. He may send us in, we just hear what he says and speak it. Our function is not to go out there and convince someone, well, Jesus doesn't teach reincarnation or however that works. We just go in and say, Jesus, what do you want me to say? Then it's very easy. I'm just checking, is this helpful what I'm saying now about reincarnation? Our course is not concerned with any concept that is not acceptable to anyone, regardless of his formal beliefs. His ego will be enough for him to cope with, and is not the part of wisdom to add sectarian controversies to his burdens. And really, when I look at the course, I wouldn't have gotten into the course without Gary Renard's, and many people have talked about that, disappearance of the universe. So is that used by spirit? Yes. Everything can be used with spirit because we're spirit right now. All we have to do is look. And then cease to deny it. But he's just pointing out the things that the consciousness loves to get lost in another fantasy. That's its purpose. If I get lost in another fantasy, then I don't have to look to see that I'm light now. Nor would there be an advantage to his premature acceptance of the course merely because it advocates a long-held belief of his own. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that this course aims at the complete reversal of thought. When this is finally accomplished, issues such as the validity of reincarnation become meaningless. See, that's because we're totally out of the argument. Who needs to even just really, the light's not worried about it or concerned, or perfect peace isn't concerned about, a discussion about reincarnation. Besides, we just say what Jesus says. Jesus, what do you want me to say right here? Then we can stay out of the traffic altogether, whether someone believes in reincarnation or not. Like, okay. I mean, you might be talking to someone who believes in reincarnation. Jesus might tell you to talk about sailing. We just have to be open to be guided. That's what I see for myself. Until then, they are likely to be merely controversial. The teacher of God is therefore wise to step away from all such questions, for he has much to teach and learn apart from them. So I'm asking him, Jesus, is it okay for all the things that I said, because I want to be true to your teaching? He said, yes, it's in purpose for me. He should be both learn and teach that theoretical issues, but waste time draining it away from its appointed purpose. If there are aspects to any concept or belief that will be helpful, he will be told about it. I'm just checking in with him to make sure I'm just really being told about it and then just saying what he's telling me. I'm off base. I'm just totally in it with him to change anything. That's the other thing. You don't put a stake in it. We don't put our stake in the ground anymore, other than to say, I'm serving God. And if I say something that's not in alignment with your will, tell me. Tell me. He will also be told how to use it. What more need he know? See, then we can rest even. You don't have to get involved in these thoughts at all. Does this mean that the teacher of God should not believe in reincarnation himself or discuss it with others who do? The answer is certainly not. If he does believe in reincarnation, it would be a mistake for him to reinforce the belief unless his internal teacher so advised. See, he's, as usual, he's back to ask me what's most helpful. And this is most unlikely. He might be advised that he is misusing the belief in some way that is detrimental to his pupil's advance or his own. Reinterpretation would then be recommended because it is necessary. All that must be recognized, however, is that birth was not the beginning and death is not the end. That cuts to the chase for us. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, is death the end? Is birth the beginning? Does the light know either of those, birth or death? Infinite light of being? Yet even this much is not required of the beginner. He need merely accept the idea that what he knows is not necessarily all there is to learn. His journey has begun. I said, Jesus, you're having me talk this way because these are advanced teachers of God. He said, yes. Because we're all called here with the divine power to see what's true, light, and what's most helpful, and to drop anything that's not helpful. The emphasis of this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is this moment that you can accept it. That goes to his talk, no taken number, it's now. Again, the purpose of New Covenant to say, reminder, it's now. Light is now. Salvation is now. It's not about another being recycled through the bin of consciousness, through another story in consciousness. It's just now for us. It's this moment that you can accept it. This is still your own responsibility. That's our own responsibility, is to accept what we already are. That makes it simple. Jesus, do I have a desire not to accept who I am? And can I ask for a miracle if you tell me, yes, I have a desire not to accept who I am, whole and complete? Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future. Amen. That's like Muji goes around saying, I don't have any interest. They'll try to come in and schedule a meeting for tomorrow with them. Like, he's just like, I don't even know about today. I don't even want to talk about tomorrow. It's so unwinding. He's like, that's a good thing. Thank you, Jesus, for reminding me. Make no little future plans. I mean, there's some practical things. It's not like everything falls off. You don't have a weekly schedule, but it's very interesting how the spirit, when we start watching, starts using time. It is still your one responsibility. Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total interest in the future. Lack of interest in the future. Heaven is here. Is heaven here, Jesus? Do I have a desire not to experience heaven as being here? As the desires wash out, heaven just is what's already here. There's nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time. No teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teacher. All beliefs will point to this if properly interpreted. In this sense, it can be said that their truth lies in their usefulness. All beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. This is the sole criterion this course requires. No more than this is necessary. That's every lesson. All beliefs that lead to progress. Every lesson is a belief that leads to progress. It's higher order beliefs given by him, thoughts of God. This is the sole criterion this course requires. No more than this is necessary. And thank you for this fireside chat, Jesus. I'm just asking. I'm not being too absolute about it. He goes, it's helpful for you, so it's helpful for me, and I trust him in that. He's just saying, be here now with me. We don't have to dream about being resurrected, coming back for another life. We can just be here right now with him. Infinito, infinita. Infinite now. No waiting, no figuring it out, no anything other than light. So let's just resurrect now. He's saying the stone is already rolled back. Step out. He says, you see yourself as different from me. He said, I, like you, we carry everything is given by the Father. No difference. Only the difference, as he said, in his experience and wisdom from walking through all the way. Like he says, like a big brother leading us out. So thank you, Jesus, for leading us out of temptation into the light of truth. Amen. Love you all. See you tomorrow at the service. And the movie, Pellicula, in the afternoon. Dun, dun, dun. What a movie that is, too.